Welcome to another episode of Netflix and Chill Quickies with me, your host, Padre Scumbagio. Today I'm going to talk about a film that I saw the other day called The Devil and Father Amorth.
This is not fiction. It's different from all the movies. And I was there to film it.
Directed by the legendary filmmaker William Friedkin, director of The Exorcist.
I've always been fascinated by the nature of good and evil and the possibility of demonic possession. But the opportunity for me to witness and film an actual exorcism came about 45 years after I had made the film, and completely by accident. Or was it Providence?
Would you believe it? This film is also about exorcism, but this time, it's real. Now, Father Amorth has been performing exorcisms throughout the entirety of his career, but there's one woman that keeps coming back for exorcisms. Clearly, they aren't working. For her 9th time around, we meet Christina. The centerpiece of the film is a 25-minute uncut video of the exorcism of Christina by Father Amorth. Now, at the beginning of the video, we're given an introduction by William Friedkin, letting us all know that he's the genius behind the Exorcist film.
Father Amorth, in his first memoir, wrote about the Exorcist film, and he said it was his favorite movie, I guess, of course.
And giving a little bit of a backstory of his relationship to Father Amorth. Friedkin explains that he's been granted special permission to film this exorcism and that something like this has never been allowed before. Friedkin talks about a number of things. However, it's almost impossible to focus on what he's saying because his voice sounds exactly like Donald Trump's.
According to 2 of the leading newspapers and the major television channel, 500,000 Italians see an exorcist every year.
Because of the special circumstance, Friedkin is the only crew member allowed to go into the room during the exorcism, which is unfortunate because he doesn't seem very good at focusing a camera. Throughout a lot of the exorcism, the woman in the back is actually in focus while Christina and Father Amorth are out of focus. Now, there's a few things to keep in mind about the exorcism scene itself. It's pretty long, so it's not that compelling throughout the whole thing, no pun intended.
The power of Christ compels you!
It does start off pretty interesting, though. We get to see Christina writhing around, struggling against these guys that are holding her down, letting out these guttural, inhuman voices. It truly does feel like a horror film, but it goes on for 25 minutes and it kind of loses its effect. And with some of these guttural noises, it feels like there's almost some audio editing going on where there are 2 separate voices being layered together, one sort of lower growl and one higher pitched shriek. And if this is something that happened in post-production, then shame on you guys, because that's not how documentaries are supposed to work. There's a couple distracting elements, too, throughout this exorcism scene that I couldn't help but focus on. One is the man here on the left who is profusely sweating the entire time, and it's dripping off of his nose, it's falling onto Christina. Another distracting element that I found in this scene was this headshot in the background here of the Pope. The only thing it's missing, of course, is the Pope's autograph. And I have to talk about Father Amorth himself. I mean, this guy looks like a demon himself. This guy looks like a skeleton mixed with a baby, mixed with Sloth from the Goonies. I mean, this film could be called The Devil is Father Amorth. At the very end of the film, Friedkin sabotages his own film with what might be the worst ending to any documentary film I've ever seen in my life. In summation, I would say The Devil and Father Amorth is not worth watching. It's an interesting concept, but it doesn't have enough in it to work either way. If you're a skeptic, you're going to remain a skeptic. If you are not a skeptic and you believe in exorcisms, then you are still probably going to be bored. If I had to rate this movie, which I don't, then I would rate this movie a 4 out of 10.